Welcome to Unabashed You, Becky Brouwer. You've been on my list for quite a while since last
Oh,
January, so this is really very special to have you here today.
great, great. Well, you're on my list too. So,
Okay. Yes, Becky also has a podcast, Sendy Mom. You may want to check that out. SENDYMOM, Sendy Mom.
yes.
Okay,
hmm
is there anything you want listeners to know about you as we get started here?
Well, I guess I can start with that I am a sendy mom, and a lot of people ask me, what does that mean? And sendy is just a term that you use in sports like mountain biking and rock climbing and skiing when you're going to do something that's really hard and you have a bunch of people around you that say, come on, just send it. And so if people who do a lot of courageous things are sendy. And my son gave me that nickname several years ago, and I knew what he meant. Most people did not know when he introduced me as a sendy mom, but it's kind of stuck with me. And it's been one of those things that when I'm nervous about doing something, I just remind myself I'm a sendy mom, and then I can do it, which is, just ties into the coaching a lot too, because, that the thoughts are super powerful that we have and can help us to overcome a lot of trials in our lives. So, yeah.
Absolutely. I love that. And when I did first meet you back in January, I didn't know what that meant, and now I do. And so I feel like, oh, I now get it. I totally get it.
Yeah. So I interview a lot of my list is endless because I believe all people are courageous in some part of their life. And so I love to uncover those things that people are doing that help them to feel courageous, and the types of thoughts that they're having that help them to be more courageous in their lives.
I love that. I love that. And very like minds. I know that we very much are aligned in that way. What
Yeah.
three words would you use to describe yourself?
Um, well, let's see. I think adventurous, ambitious, and I guess we'll keep it in alliteration, just say active.
Okay, that's good. And yeah, you are, as I've gotten to know you a bit, yeah, very adventurous and ambitious and active. Those are really good.
Yeah.
Okay, two truths and a lie. Do you know how to play this?
I do. I do.
Okay, so hit me with the three things, and I'll see if I can tell which one is the lie.
Okay. Let's see. First, let's see. I paraglided over Switzerland. I have 11 siblings, and I've lived on three different continents.
Oh my gosh, you're so good at it. Oh my gosh. Okay, so Becky, look at this. You can trick me with all of these because you could have paraglided, but not over Switzerland. You could have 10 siblings or 13, and then lived on three different continents. Gosh, yeah, see, I just got to go with one of them.
Yep.
Now, Becky, I happen to know you are one of 12. So I happen to
Oh,
know that. So I
very
can, or
good.
now I'm down to 50-50.
Yep.
Okay, Becky, I'm gonna go with you've lived on three different continents as the lie. How'd I do?
Actually, I have lived on three different continents.
Okay, good.
So I grew up in the US, and let's see, we moved to Switzerland when I guess when I had two children. I had three children. I had a son like a month before we moved to Switzerland. And then we lived in Australia for about 5 years as well.
My
So
God. Wow, that's
So paragliding, I still
incredible.
have not tried. I think maybe
Oh,
that ship has passed. I've gotten to this point in my life, I just get really sick when I'm in the air. I did go skydiving a couple years ago, and I wasn't scared. It just made me kind of sick. And so I was like, maybe I just don't want to do paragliding. And
yeah, you don't have to do it all. Just because it's
no,
available doesn't mean you have to do it, right?
that's right. That's right. And we
Right.
make choices for
Good.
our lives. So, yep.
And I am so admiring of the fact that you have lived in Switzerland and Australia for 5 years, and
Yeah.
obviously you're in the US. My goodness, what an incredible experience you got to have with those, living in those places.
It is neat to be able to see where other people live in the world, and that honestly, we're all the same. no matter what. And that's one thing that, I've learned from coaching too, honestly, is that we all have the same kinds of fears and the same sorts of thoughts that lead
Right.
us to kind of the same places. And it is universal, no matter where you're from. And the only problem that we have is communication and expecting that people are going to be different than how they are, because we all are having this human experience, right?
Right, exactly. That's very, very well put, and I agree with that wholeheartedly. So, Becky, what's one of your favorite movies of all time?
Yeah, this is hard because we actually don't watch a lot of movies, but I do. From we had a few from my childhood that we used to watch, and so I would say The Court Jester. Have
I
you ever
don't
seen
even
that?
know
It's
that
Danny
movie.
Kaye. It's so funny. It's like, it's just all
Okay.
these funny little parts of it. And he basically becomes this court jester, even though he's kind of a spy, but he gets kind of tied into a lot of intrigue, and yeah, and he becomes a knight so he can marry the princess, but they just run him through it really fast. And so it's hilarious. I would
Oh
totally
my
recommend it.
goodness. Does he get to dance in this
Oh
movie?
yeah, he
Okay.
dances, and yeah, he just it's really funny. So it's one of our family favorites.
Oh, that's great because I like him in White Christmas. Is that what it's
Oh
called? White
yes,
Christmas. Oh
that's
yeah.
right.
Oh my
Yeah.
God.
I know he's
Incredible
hilarious,
dancing.
right? So,
Yeah, so
yeah,
good. Oh, that's
lots
a
of
good one.
plays on words and things like that. And so it's just,
Right.
that's a great show. Yeah.
Good. I'll have to add that to the list. All right, Becky, share with us a person that inspires you.
Oh my goodness, there are so many. I mean, yeah, definitely. Like all the women that I have interviewed on my podcast inspire me all the time. But I do a lot of bonus episodes of women from history. The most recent one I did was Julian of Norwich. And she was an anchoress in England. She's in the 14 or in the 1300s, had a series of revelations that later were published, and she is known to be the first woman to be published in the English language. And her
Oh,
revelations are pretty earth shattering for the time. And so that was really interesting to, see her, she stayed within the church. And that was what was fascinating to me, that she remained with the church, even though some of the things that she was saying were kind of, a little bit groundbreaking for her
right.
time. So,
Oh,
yeah, really really neat person. But I would definitely say, you're an inspiration, Rochelle. All the stuff that you're doing, all the coaches that I get to work with, all honestly the people that I get to coach. They're inspiring to
yes.
me. I get inspired really easily by the way people live their lives.
And I agree with you. Just, in our lives, the connections we can make with people, our guests, or, we've met each other through the coach training program. And yeah, and I think I am open and look for inspiration. I think you're very similar in that way.
Yeah. Yeah. Looking for the good stuff because it's
That's
there.
right. That's right. That's exactly right. Okay, so a piece of wisdom you keep handy.
Well, I'd have to go with what Julian of Norwich, just because that's kind of fresh in my mind. But I really love what she said in one of her revelations that she received. She had this impression: "All shall be well, and all shall be well, and ye shall see that all manner of things shall be well." And so I've done a lot of thought about that, and in the end, it just helps to give perspective, right? That this is not, the experience that we're having right now is very narrow. And so to be able to have this perspective that in the end, it's all going to work out is really comforting.
Right. That is really comforting. And I don't know the name of the man who wrote the song, uh, It Is Well With My Soul. Didn't his wife and some of his children had
Passed away.
had
Yeah.
perished on a shipping incident to meet up with him or something? And, to be able to come up with that in that moment of grief, and it's what you're saying, all will be well, all shall be well.
Yeah. In the end, it all kind of works out, and so it gives you some perspective. So I love that.
It sure
Yep.
does. Thank you for
Yeah.
that. That's a good one. All right,
Hmm.
Becky, we are going to take our deep dive now, and you are our first guest for our new series, What's with All the Coaches and Why You Might Need One. So we're just going
Okay.
to have ourselves a conversation around this and see what we come up with.
Sounds
First of
good.
all, what is a coach? What do you think a coach is?
Well, I mean, in the traditional sense of the word, I guess a coach is somebody that gives you some guidance and direction and helps to, but also somebody that doesn't tell you what to do, but is a supporter and helps you to see what you already know is inside of you. And so when you think of it as in our case as life coaches, it's somebody who can help you to look at your life and recognize the things that have happened in your life to bring you to the point where you are. Be grateful for all of those things that have happened in your life, and then to find a way forward. And a coach, there's lots of different types of coaches out there that can help you to move forward. A lot of accountability coaches that will keep you on task to make sure you're doing things. Career coaching is a huge part of that. But I think that things are shifting a little bit more towards, especially within life coaching, for just average people who are just feeling a little bit stuck and like they can't figure their way through different things. It's hard to see, like when you're trying to solve your own problems, it's hard to coach yourself. It is
Yes.
very difficult because we think that these thoughts that we're having are true all the time, right? And we
Right.
don't question them. And even if we do question them because we know better, it's really difficult to do it on your own, to be able to see through those things. And so having somebody external to be able to talk you through different things is really helpful, and to find your step forward, a step forward.
Right. Oh, I love that. Find your step forward. Oh gosh, that's so good. Oh, love that. That's so funny. Certain phrases I'll just love it. And
Yeah.
okay, so that is great. So you've told us what a coach is, and in a way, you've defined what a coach is. Do you have anything further to say on that?
I do know, like, if you wanted to know the difference, because I've had a lot of people say, well, what's the difference between coaching and therapy? And I actually have a sister-in-law who's a therapist, and so I talked to her about it, and she doesn't feel any kind of threat from the coaching world, and I don't feel really
Good.
threatened by the therapy world. It's just it's a different. Really, the difference is that what the way that she explained it to me is that she basically um, has authority to diagnose people with certain conditions, and then to be able to
Right.
treat them for those certain conditions and bill insurance based upon those diagnoses,
Yes.
right?
Good.
And
Yes.
so that is really where the difference is that therapists, if you go to a therapist, then you can claim insurance for it.
Right.
Coaches generally not. Coaches generally
Right.
you're going to need to pay the full price for that because it's an unregulated industry. And the way she talked about it too is she said therapy used to be like that too. And so right now coaching is kind of a new niche that hasn't been regulated yet. And she said it used to be the wild west of therapy too, until there became kind of some governing bodies that helped to define different things or whatever and brought things together. And probably coaching will come back to that as well. And there are lots of different programs you can be certified in,
Right.
tons of
Right.
different things. And there are actually some coaching authorities that are trying to kind of assume a little bit of control of this wild west of the coaching program.
Yes.
The one ICF is. I can't remember what it stands for, but ICF is the main governing body right now, and you can become ICF certified. You can find a coach that is ICF certified. You can also find coaches at several different places, the online presence, you can look for different coaching things and whatever, but that is the main difference, I guess. And so,
Okay. That's
yeah.
helpful. That's very helpful. Okay,
Hmm.
so obviously we're both in the same coach training program. So my next question, have you ever had a coach how many and what kind? Because I think we have this notion that there are so many coaches out there, but when you really kind of poll the people in your own life, you're like, hardly anyone really has a coach, right?
Right. Yeah, and I think that everybody kind of needs one, and we kind of are coaches to each other. I think women need other women particularly. And so I feel like I've been doing this, for my whole life, right? And now I have some better tools, and so that's really good. And so that actually kind of makes it a little bit tricky, like switching over from this, social norm to a market norm, kind of a thing. So I would say yes, I have had coaches that I have paid. Not so many. I went to a therapist or a couple of therapists that actually acted more as coaches for me,
Okay.
which were fantastic, and really helped me to kind of go through some really difficult things. Um, I probably paid one other coach to help me. That was helpful, and she helped me to kind of refine, and like I said, coaches help with that next step forward. So do therapists. They do that too. But she was she was able to help me to kind of go forward. So, but it's hard to find a good fit.
Right.
You know.
And would you call that woman? Now we know that the coach that we are in the training program with, Jody Moore, is a coach. She's coaching coaches. So
Yes.
this other woman that you went to was, would she brand herself as a life coach?
Yes. Yeah.
Okay, got
Actually,
it.
I guess two, because I have a friend. We trade coaching with each other. So I have another friend who's a coach, and she was certified in the life coach school, and the one that I went to was certified in life coach school as well.
Okay.
So
All right. Very
yeah.
good. All right. Well, thanks
Yeah.
for sharing that. And you kind of told us what that experience was like and what you learned. Is it something that you would recommend?
Oh yeah, absolutely. I mean, if you like having somebody who's been trained is actually like it's different than having a friend. I know that I'm a much better friend now that I am a coach. There's a little bit of a transition that happens like as you are becoming a coach because you go from, people start assuming that you're going to be coaching them every time you're talking to them. And sometimes that's a little bit tricky because you are becoming a new person and so you can't unlearn the things that you've learned.
Right.
But there's this little massaging part of it. But man, I feel like I can see things so much better and I'm less judgmental. I'm less, like I can put things in a perspective that is more helpful for my friend or for whoever that I happen to be coaching. And so, yeah, I feel like it's really helpful for people to have a coach who can be that neutral place. And especially if it's somebody you don't know, then you might even feel more comfortable. And as a coach, it's hard to coach people that you know.
Right.
Because you do kind of have a little bit of an agenda or some opinions about the way they're living their life, and so finding somebody that can be totally nonpartisan and just be on basically on everybody's side and be able to see the situation from a bird's eye view is
Right.
super helpful for anybody.
I absolutely agree, and I love how you kind of summarized all that. Very, very wise. Do you think there are too many coaches? Why or why not?
Well, clearly not, because you talk to people and they don't have a coach and they don't know any coaches, and or they only know a handful of them. And so I think when you get into the world of coaching, then you meet a lot of coaches. That's so normal, right?
Right.
And so I think the difference really does come to this like going from a social norm to a market norm, like paying for it because we all like I did coach a lady who, she hasn't had any certification, no training or anything, and she felt like she wanted to be a coach. She's like, is it okay if I just tell people that I'm a coach? I talk to people all the time. I'm like, yeah, basically you are a coach. And so, yes, of course you can do that. And that's why I'm talking about kind of the regulations and looking for people who have had some of this certification. Because I'll tell you, I thought I knew how to be a coach too before I started the program. I'm like, oh, yeah, I do this all the time. I talk to my friends and they think I'm so great. And I come up with all these great ideas for them. And then I got into it and I was like, what? I can't give people advice. You mean I just have to let them come up with their solutions? This is just weird. So, yeah, so like that's part. And so no, there are not enough coaches, and there are so many people that need it that don't realize they need it. But I think that the stigma is starting to change a little bit around coaching, and I think that people are starting to realize that it is actually helpful. So, yeah.
Right, right. Very good. Do you think can you see any disadvantage of having a coach?
Well, if you had the wrong coach,
Oh,
that
the
could be a
wrong
problem,
one. Yeah,
you
that's a
know?
good point.
If
Really good point.
Yeah, I mean, if you get somebody that does, first of all, is trying to tell you what to do, instead of offering suggestions, because I mean, you do have to offer suggestions. That's part of
Right,
giving direction. But if you find if there's somebody that, well, and you'll just be able to tell. That's the thing
right.
is like as you're going, then you just if it's not working, then you just stop. So it's not really a disadvantage to even try. Just jump in and I don't think you need to have like 100 referrals either. You just look at somebody and you're like, oh, I like what they're doing, and okay, let's give it a try. And you give it a try, and if it's a good fit, then you keep doing it because you're not going to be for everybody. You're not going to find
Right,
a coach that is going to be the best for everyone. I've
right.
talked to plenty of
Exactly.
people who don't like Jody Moore, so
Okay. Okay.
I love her. I think she's
Yeah,
great.
right.
But and she knows that. She knows that. Not everybody loves her.
Right. And not all of us are for everyone. I mean, the whole point of it is trying things on and seeing what fits and keeping the things that fit and moving on from the things that don't fit. I mean, it
Yeah.
just feels like common sense. Is
Yep.
there a time when you had to be brave enough in your own life?
To do coaching or
Um,
anything.
I guess there's no wrong answer. You can take that wherever
Okay.
you want.
All
Take it
right.
wherever you want.
Bravery. I mean, that's my whole podcast is about being brave. And part of the reason why I started it was because I didn't feel, well, I've always been pretty good about taking risks as far, I lived in other places in the world, and I travel pretty extensively, and I feel great with that. And I feel good with, doing mountain biking and skiing and, all of these different activities. But the things that I get nervous about are things like this, like having a conversation with somebody. It makes me a little bit nervous. So, exposure therapy, let's just have conversations with all kinds of people and then get better at it because that's just how we go. But I would say like being brave was putting out that first reel to announce my podcast, to say I was doing it. And
Ah,
I actually did it before I had even recorded an episode or had everything that I
wow.
needed. I was just like, I got on it and I said, I'm going to start this. I'm going to be part of this movement. And it's, we're for Sendy moms and whatever. And so that was brave. But part of that came because of that thought. I'm a Sendy mom that comes up. I was standing at the top of a mountain of a ski mountain, and I had never been nervous before. And all of a sudden I was really nervous, and I was like, what the heck? I was so mad at myself for being nervous. I was like, where's my moxie? I want my moxie back. And so that's when that thought came. I'm a Sendy mom. And I was like, okay. And I just said it the whole way down. I'm a Sendy mom. I'm a Sendy mom. And I just kept going and going. I got down and I was like, whoa, that's crazy. Just that thought like totally changed the whole thing. And then I started thinking about, I wonder what other thoughts people have to get them through, these times when they're really nervous about stuff. And that's where the whole podcast kind of came from. But yeah.
Well, I love that because you changed your thought in that moment. I mean, yes, you were likely still scared, but you also added in, I am also brave. I am also courageous. I am also capable. And all of that
Yeah.
all rolled up into the Sendy mom, right?
I love that. Yeah, I love that. Yeah, because it really was. It just adds onto it, and then you can continue to spin that thought. So often we spin the negative thoughts, but I like that idea of like spinning these positive ones and adding to
Yeah,
them. Yeah.
absolutely. Becky, this has been so incredible. I feel so inspired and encouraged and all the good things. Where can people find you?
Well, you can find me at sendymom.com, sendymom.com. You can also find me like on podcasts at Sendy Mom or on YouTube, on any of the podcast platforms, sendy.mom. But you can also find my coaching, and there's links to that from my website, but my coaching is beckybcoaching.com. So you can find me there. And I just try to put some good out there for people.
And isn't that great? I love that we are heeding that little nudge, that little call within us, like, okay, let's go. Let's be Sendy.
Yeah.
Let's do it. Well, Becky, this has been wonderful. Thank you so much for taking the time to have this conversation with us.
Yes. Well, thank you for having me. It's really been a pleasure.
Mine too.